بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على حبيبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد بن عبد الله صلوات الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين. أما بعد, my dearly beloved brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and the blessings and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be bestowed upon us all. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has created us and has blessed us with Islam. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has sent us the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as a guide, as a messenger to guide us to the path of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, to guide us to the path, to the light, to the path that will lead us to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll start off by stating an event where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stood up one day and addressed the Muslimin just by a lake somewhere outside Medina, and he said to them, "O believers, I have left with you all two heavy responsibilities, two heavy things that you are to look after, cherish, act by and live your life by. Kitabullah, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there's your guidance. In the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there's the light, the path to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Al Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهِ. If you all truly love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to tell the believers, to tell us as Muslims, if you truly love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tell them to follow you, Ya Muhammad, to follow the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to follow the path of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to act like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did in his situations. And then, what's the other heavy stuff, Ya Rasulullah? He said two things. The other thing, Ahlul Bayt, the household of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Loving them is a duty upon every single Muslim. Keeping their, reliving their lives and feeling them and loving them and protecting their reputation and protecting them and looking after the name and making sure that it's not tarnished is a duty upon you as a Muslim. And this is something that Prophet ﷺ has left with us as a duty as a Muslim. So much so that your salah will not be complete until you have praised Ahl Al Bayt Rasul ﷺ. When you say Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, part of your prayer. It's not complete without it. So the love of the Prophet, the household of the Prophet ﷺ is a duty upon us. Prophet ﷺ was once approaching the Sahaba, and as he was walking, so this person who was due to see the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this person just suddenly appeared out of nowhere and started talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Spoke a little bit and then disappeared, just left. So as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to the Sahabi and he said to him, "Do you know who just stopped me?" Sahabi said, "Allahu a'lam, I don't know." Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam then related and said that that person was an angel from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has asked permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he can come and tell me that Alhassan and Alhussain, Sayyida Shabab Ahl Jannah, Alhassan and Hussain are the masters of all youth in Jannah. And Fatima, Sayyidat Nisa al Jannah, Fatima is the mistress of all ladies in Jannah. This is the high status. And the Prophet ﷺ continuously kept putting in the Sahaba's hearts and teaching people the importance of loving the household of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. It's only befitting that today I'd speak about Ashoura because yesterday was the 10th of Muharam. It is an occasion known to us as a day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, commemorating the day where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has helped Prophet Musa alayhi salam crossing the sea. But also it carries with it a historical event that most people are ignorant about it. I was, up until I had to research for this khutbah, where I found it very important that I address this issue. Normally it would be a taboo, normally stay away of it, fear out of fitna. But inshallah ta'ala, after today, I will decipher and demystify any fitna that is caused as a result of ignorance from our part. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the hadith and the sayings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the love of the household of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam are numerous. And the love of the Hassan and Hussain was instilled in every single Sahabi. And all this rubbish and all this misinformed events about the hatred between the Sahaba and Ahl Al Bayt is all false and fabricated and has no base because of the stories that, sadly, because of time, I can't go through all of them. But I'll bring quick snippets from the lives of the Sahaba before I go straight into the Battle of Karbala. Prophet ﷺ loved Alhassan and Hussein on numerous occasions, but I want to go fast forward to the times of the Sahaba, where the Prophet ﷺ, after he had passed away, 6 months later, their mother passed away. Alhassan and Hussein's mother, Fatima Zahra radiallahu anha, she passed away. So it's the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing Alhassan and Hussein for quite a lot of turbulence that could face them. So they're getting prepped from a young age how to deal with hard situations. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Umar ibn Khattab and Uthman ibn Affan, they all looked after the household of the Prophet ﷺ so dearly because they have been asked by the Prophet ﷺ to look after them. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was once cited that he was walking next to Ali ibn Abi Talib, and as he walked, he was approaching a group of kids, and one of them was Al-Hussain. So the Prophet Abu Bakr as-Siddiq went and carried Al-Hussain radiyallahu anhu, gave him a kiss on his head and his cheek, and said to him, "Abi, I will sacrifice my dad for the sake of you, Al-Hussain." And then he looked at Al-Hussain and he said, "Looks like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not so much like his father." Ali ibn Abi Talib was there and he smiled and he laughed at that statement. Umar ibn al-Khattab, he married Al-Hussein's sister, Kulthum. More to the point, and then Al-Hussain radiyallahu anhu was married to a daughter of a big emperor in Persia. And from that marriage, they had Ali Zayn al-Abidin. And from Ali Zayn al-Abidin, all the progenies, all the people who are at the moment who live amongst us, who are from the household of the Prophet ﷺ, who relate to the Prophet ﷺ through Al-Hussain, is through this marriage. And this marriage was facilitated and aided by Umar ibn al-Khattab. There was always love. Al-Hassan named one of his sons Umar ibn al-Khattab. Then came Uthman al-Affan. Uthman al-Affan married two of Al-Hussein's sisters, Al-Hussein's aunties, sorry. So there was love. They were all interconnected. This whole sahabas and they were all linked together. They all loved each other. They all respected each other. Then when Uthman al-Affan was surrounded by, there's a big fitna and they came to try to kill Uthman al-Affan, first thing Ali ibn Abi Talib did was send both his kids, Al-Hassan and Hussein, to stand outside the house to protect Uthman al-Affan. And they tried to protect him with everything they can, so much so they were injured in this battle, as this small little fight before Uthman al-Affan was killed. Then Ali ibn Abi Talib took on the Khilafah, and they were there to aid their father, the Khalifa. And then when Abdullah ibn Muljam assassinated Ali ibn Abi Talib, and when he was martyred, rahmatullah alayh, then the Khilafah went to Al-Hassan. But then at the same time, the issue about the killing of Uthman was still there, and then the Muslims turned into two camps. One who wanted justice for Uthman, and another who believed that let's establish the Khilafah first, rightly so, because you can't have a void in the kingdom. First we establish Khilafah, then we seek out justice. But then Muslims had this fitna, and then Muawiyah started leading a camp against Al-Hassan. And at that point, there was a lot of struggle. Then Al-Hassan, radiyallahu anhu, true to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where the Prophet ﷺ said to, looked at Al-Hassan, and he said, "You will one day save the Muslims from a big battle and a fitna between them." And true to the word of the Prophet ﷺ, Al-Hassan gave up Khilafah for the sake of Muawiyah, on a condition that after Muawiyah, whoever becomes the Khalifa of the Muslims has to do it democratically, has to be elected by the people. So when stability came to the Muslim world, then the whole Islam started spreading ferociously. It was growing, and Islam was spreading to different parts of the Islamic kingdom. So much so that one battle, which was Al-Qistantiniya, which is the one towards Turkey in Istanbul, the Muslim army needed backup. So Muawiyah sent his son Yazid as a leader of the army. And in this army was Al-Hussain radiyallahu anhu, was Abdullah ibn Umar, the son of Umar ibn Khattab, was the son of Ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Abbas. All these great sahabas who lived with the Prophet ﷺ, all were there in this battle, all under one flag. There was no hatred. But then, when Muawiyah started becoming ill, then he assigned his son to be the Khalifa after him. Yazid ibn Muawiyah became the Khalifa. At that point, this is where the Muslims started dividing. Nobody liked the fact that he just assigned his son, because he wasn't known to be fit as a Khalifa for the Muslims. people did not like Yazid. So people started writing from Al-Kufa, started writing letters of allegiance to Al-Hussain, asking him to be the Khalifa, of the Muslims. We don't want Yazid ibn Muawiyah. And when Yazid ibn Muawiyah was seeking out allegiance letters from all the different parts, he wanted an allegiance from the household of the Prophet ﷺ to make his reign a little bit more legitimate. But Al-Hussain did not agree because of the fact that he should have been elected by the people, not assigned by Muawiyah. And all these letters are saying, no, don't pledge allegiance to Yazid ibn Muawiyah because we don't think he's fit for it. Al-Hussain at that point was receiving all these letters from Al-Kufa in Iraq. So they were sending all these letters, so much so it reached at least petitions, 500 sets of documents, petitions, letters, allegiance from heads of groups, all pledging allegiance to Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu to be the Khalifa. So when all of this was happening, Yazid ibn Muawiyah, who's in another city, started hearing and feeling this movement. So he quickly sent Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad to go and attack Al-Kufa as part of his kingdom. So he sent his own general to go and take over that city. And he went there, he took over the city, and he started living in the palace that is there. At that point, Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu sent his cousin Muslim ibn Aqil from Medina or Mecca all the way to Basra to go and seek out and see what the true situation is on the ground, so to speak. So when Muslim ibn Aqil reached there, the people were flooding to Muslim ibn Aqil. Here's a messenger from Al-Hussain, let's just speak to him, let's pledge allegiance to him. So much so that he got 4,000 men ready to fight for the sake of Hussain radiallahu anhu. When they came to Muslim ibn Aqil, they were ready, so then Muslim ibn Aqil led them towards the palace to show Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the general from Yazid ibn Muawiyah, that these people do not want your reign over them, they don't want you to be the Khalifa. So Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad got worried and panicked. He's going to be outnumbered here, and no longer will he have any control over Kufa. So he started sending out the bribes to all these different people, all the heads of the clans and all the people. So he's just giving them position, money, wealth, land, whatever he can. He started bribing them all. But before this had happened, Muslim ibn Aqil had already sent a letter to Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu saying that, true to the point, we've got a strong support for you, Khalifa. We want you to be the Khalifa. There's a strong support and a strong people who will help you here in Kufa. So that letter had already reached Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, and 72 people from the beloved household of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam set out from Medina or Mecca towards Al-Basra. But in the meantime, as you know, by the time the letters and the paperwork traveled, in the meantime, the bribing started happening and all of that started happening, and the people are starting to disperse from away from Muslim ibn Aqil. So much so that the 4,000 turned into 3 to 2 to 1,000 to 500 to 300. It reached a point where Muslim ibn Aqil was praying Maghrib with one person. When that person finished and did salam, alaykum rahmatullah, salam alaykum rahmatullah, after Maghrib, he just left and Muslim ibn Aqil left. Not a single support. After all these papers and the petitions and the pledges for Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, they just betrayed him. Just left Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil realized that this is going to be a serious situation if Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu was to reach. So he set out really quickly. Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu set out on the 8th of the Hijjah, before Arafah. On the 9th of the Hijjah, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the general who took over Al-Kufa, had already sent his man to go and kill Muslim ibn Aqil. And they caught up with Muslim ibn Aqil and executed him on the spot. Unknown to Al-Hussain, he'd already set off. Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab, had set off behind Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, a 3-day journey, tried to catch up with Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu. When he caught up with Al-Hussain, he said to him, Ya Hussain, why would you want to go to a place where we know of their betrayal? They will betray you, they will not stand by you. Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu had already set. He's already got these pledges of allegiance. And true to the point, he wanted to save the Muslims from what the evil reign of Yazid ibn Muawiyah, because he's not fit to be a Khalifa. So when Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu continued, Abdullah ibn Umar said, "Astawdi'uka Allah min qatil." May Allah protect you, for you will be murdered, you will be killed. Abdullah ibn Abbas, same thing. He came after Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, pleading with him to stay behind and don't go forward. But yet, Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, khalas, it was written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this is all going to happen. There's no change about it. And Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu had already set up and set off. He's not going to retreat now. So they were heading and continued their journey. And then Yazid ibn Muawiyah started finding out about this. Al-Hussain heading towards Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad sent requesting for backup against Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu. But more to the point, he's not fighting Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu per name. We're talking about a piece of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He sent an army to go and attack a piece of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So 1,000 men started heading towards Al-Hussain. So they met at a point quite near Karbala, a place in Iraq. There, they came to Al-Hussain. The main leader had already detached himself from the army and headed towards Al-Hussain. And he went to Al-Hussain and he said to him, "Hussain, just pledge allegiance to Yazid. This will all be over. Go back and don't do any harm. Just say Yazid's the ruler and that's it. It will all be done." But Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu did not agree to this. He put the life and the Islam of the people, the mu'mineen, the future of the mu'mineen at a high value, at high status, that he's not going to compromise on this. He didn't think that those people will be fit for it. And true to the point, after the death of Hussein, didn't happen, nothing much happened to the Islam afterwards, during the reign of Yazid. In fact, it got worse. Now, Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu didn't pledge allegiance to Yazid. And this Al-Hurr, I want you all to remember this name because he'll come back in the story a little bit further down the line. Al-Hurr said to him, "There's nothing I can do here." So Al-Hussain told him, "Listen, I can see that you've got an army. Let us go to the outskirts of the Islamic country. Or let me go and meet Yazid there personally." So he went and sought permission from Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the general who was looking after Kufa. He said to him, "No, don't agree to it. He has to pledge allegiance to Yazid." So Al-Hurr didn't find anything, so he went back, and Hussein just continued up until they reached a point where Karbala, and then Yazid had already sent 4,000 more men to join the thousands of 5,000 people to attack a piece of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, 70 of the beloved household of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They came and were face to face to Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu. But this now new ruler, a new leader came, Umar ibn Sa'ad. He was the one who's leading the 5,000 kuffar, basically. They're coming to attack a piece of the Prophet. They're coming to attack the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, effectively, the blood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these 5,000 people are coming to attack Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu. So at the confrontation point, Al-Hussain stood up and addressed the people. And he said to them, he basically explained the situation to the people and saying that what you're all doing is wrong. You are fighting Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're fighting Rayhana to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rayhana is a flower that you don't pull off, or the beauty of it is in smelling it. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved Al-Hassan and Al-Hussain. How can you even come towards harming a piece of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam like this? He addressed this and he said many other stuff to remind them of the severity of what they're about to embark on. 30 people from this 5,000 defaulted from the main army and came and joined Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu. One of them is Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Tamimi. He's the one who came and approached Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu earlier on. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين أما بعد. We've reached a point where Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu was addressing the army that was about to attack the household of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He addressed them and he warned them of the severity of what's happening to them. 30 people defaulted from that army and joined Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu. When quizzed When those people said, how dare you leave our army and go and join Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu? What are you doing? How can you be with us and then suddenly just turn and default against us? The reply was just amazing, and he shows, and he said, it's a lesson for all of us. He said, you all are giving me a choice between Jannah, as in being with Al-Hussain, or Nar, as in being with you all to fight Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu. And he joined. So as they were about to attack, Al-Hussain he said to them, give me one night. This is the 9th of Muharam. Give me one night. Let us spend the night praying, and tomorrow we will fight. So both camps just parted apart, and the camp of Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, the 9th of Muharram, you will not pass a single tent without you hearing dua, salah, qiyam, Quran. That's how Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu and the beloved household of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to spend the night on a normal day. They would just pray and then make dua and qiyam al-layl and just being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Zainab, the sister of Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, walked past the tent of Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, and she heard him saying poetry, which reflected, it's like a saying goodbye poetry. There, he was almost saying goodbye to this dunya. So Zainab radiallahu anha, she came in and said to Hussain, what are you saying? Why would you say this? Why do you feel like you're going to leave us? Al-Hussain radiallahu anha said to them, I swear upon, I want you to swear upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if I were to go and see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I'm going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tomorrow, as in being killed, I'll ask of you not to rip a garment, not to scream, and not to slap a face. This is from Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, and he said that to her. And he explained to her that there's no point. They're here to kill Al-Hussain. There's no question about it. So then, when the morning came, Al-Hussain addressed his people, and he said to the household of Muslim Aqil, the one who got killed earlier, the cousin of Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, his family came out and set out with Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, and he said to them, listen, you guys do not have to be here. They only want me. So you all go home. And they said, no, we will have to revenge for our brother or father. We can't go back and say, oh, we did not even fight for the honor of our father. Same thing with his household. He went and addressed them, and he said to them, you can all go back. They don't want you all, they want me. And they all said, no, we will fight with you. We will be with you. And then to the point, they all came together. The fight happened. Amongst one of the people who passed away was Al-Hurr ibn Tamimi, the person who was there with the wrong army. When he joined, he managed to kill 2 people, and then he was killed. Amongst those who died, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman. I'm not referring to the Khalifa. I'm referring to the sons of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Yes, Ali ibn Abi Talib named his son Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman. All those people who said there was hatred, prove this wrong. They loved. And I don't think anybody on this planet, unless deluded, will name your son by the names of your enemy. There was love between the Sahaba, all of them together. They loved each other. And Abu Bakr, the son of Ali, Umar ibn Ali, and Uthman ibn Ali, they all were killed in this battle. And one after another was getting killed, and 5,000 people, minus 30, were attacking 72 people who did not even have weapons. The number of horsemen that were there, obviously if you had a horse and you're fighting over a horse, you're less exhausted, so you're able to fight even more. But the fight was ferocious, and there was such bravery exemplified from the household of the Prophet ﷺ. And then one after another was getting killed, one after another, until they reached a small number. When they realized that there's no way of them winning, they said, stop the war. How would it? We're going to go protect Al-Hussain. They went and surrounded Al-Hussain and it's like protecting him with the most precious thing they have, and that's their soul. They protected him, and then one after another was getting killed until Al-Hussain was standing there by himself. And then this one person called the Shamar ibn Jothan, who shouted and screamed out to his people, 5,000, we can't attack one person. And then he took an arrow and a spear, and he started he took the spear and started throwing it towards Al-Hussain. And the rest of the people, another person called Sinan ibn Anas, and a third person also, they were all like getting the whole army against and rooting for them against Al-Hussain. So they all got a little bit encouraged, and they started throwing an arrow after another, started aiming at the Hussain radiallahu anhu, and the final fatal one came and hit Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu. Hussein radiallahu anhu fell murdered as a martyr who is already gone to Jannah, and inshallah ta'ala, we will go and sit down with Al-Hussein radiallahu anhu and speak to him and see the bravery and let him tell us the story about this. Then, when the battle finished, they decapitated, they cut off the head of Al-Hussein radiallahu anhu and paraded it to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the ruler of Kufa. There, they had it in a basket. And Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad called the sahabas who were there, the sahabas of the Prophet ﷺ who were still alive. They called them. Amongst them was Anas ibn Malik, the one who served the Prophet ﷺ. He was sat down. He was an old man, frail man, and he was walking on his walking stick. And then he saw Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad with a stick, and he's just poking the beloved head of the Prophet ﷺ's grandson. He's poking. And Anas ibn Malik got up, and he looked at him with his frail voice. Wallahi la uqabbihannak. Your reputation will be tarnished forever, and I will make sure of this. The point where with your stick that you're hitting the beloved face of Hussein radiallahu anhu was the exact same point that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was kissing. Kiss that point that you are hitting and degrading it. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad's mother, when she heard about this, she came running and cursing her son. They paraded the ladies from the household of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam through the battleground to see the dead, just to humiliate them. And this is basically Karbala. This is where we've been kind of shy as Sunnis and Shias, we've been shy to talk about. The truth of the matter of the fact is we've always got this issue as a divide between the Sunnis and the Shias. We all, through ignorance, we don't know the true fact of the story, so we're always fighting for the wrong side, and we're trying to say that this person's wrong and that person's wrong. But Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah ta'ala, said, whoever participated in the killing of Hussein radiallahu anhu, rooted, promoted, acted for, or had any part in the killing of Hussein radiallahu anhu, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala curse him and kick him out of his mercy. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he is the most knowledgeable people of al-Hadith. He said, in the 8th century, he said, whoever protects Yazid, whoever sides with Yazid, whoever thinks that he is good or says anything good about him, especially about the martyrdom of Al-Hussain radiallahu anhu, is a deluded and misguided person. So some people, sadly, from Sunnis who think that Yazid's to be praised. No. You've got no obligation to support Yazid. You have got no obligation to protect him. What he's done is wrong. Even if he did not participate physically, but he had the power to stop them from killing Hussein. He had the power to go and avenge for Hussein. He had the power to bring those people to justice, but he didn't. And again, Islam just went backwards. He started attacking people just for the sake of pledging allegiance. And no longer than 4 years or less, his reign disappeared. Because he wasn't suited to be a Khalifa. Muslims turned into 3 different opinions about Yazid. Some people said, yeah, you could call him a kafir. And some people said, yeah, you can say, Allah yal'anu, may Allah curse him and get him out of mercy. And then the majority of people said, you do not know what happened between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before he died. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may forgive him for something he's done, but at the end of the day, Allah will get justice for Hussein radiallahu anhu in the day when it really matters. So for we as Muslims in today, we are not to go and make this issue a divide between Sunnis and Shias. We do not need this division between us. We need to be united because we're all sad about the martyrdom of Hussein radiallahu anhu. We're all sad about the whole event, but how we express it is different. We follow the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he says, "Laysa minna man shaqqa al-juyub wa latama al-khudud wa da'a bi da'wat al-jahiliyyah." We follow the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he says, those people who tear their garments and slap their faces and scream and shout and say stuff is not from us. We follow this hadith. Others, they follow a different hadith, so find it acceptable. But at the end of the day, let's not make this a divide. Let's not make this a divide between us two. We're too united. We've got enough enemies. We've got enough fitnas. We've got enough shaitans to fight amongst ourselves. So let's be united about this issue. And lastly, Prophet ﷺ says, "Man ahabba al-Hassan wal-Hussain faqad ahabbani wa man abghadahuma faqad abghadani." Whoever loves al-Hassan wal-Hussain radiyallahu anhum, for he has loved me. And whoever hates them, he hates the Prophet ﷺ. And true to this hadith, nobody on the day of Karbala who participated in that fight found an easy death. That has the person who shouted, the one who took the first spear, Shamar ibn Jawfan, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the one who was hiding in his palace, and all those people found the worst of death that they can possibly find. One of them, an intruder came in and killed him, cut his head off. When his head was taken to the Khalifa, a snake appeared from nowhere and started going into his face. Another person, when asked, what is the best thing you've ever done? He said, I participated in the killing of Hussein. From that moment, he became deaf and blind. Another person just turned insane in 1 minute, and people started laughing at him, and they found the worst death. Nobody who said anything bad about the household of the Prophet Muhammad survived lived a good life. I apologize if I may have raised some questions or may have caused some doubts or may have done anything wrong. My whole intention is to make sure that this issue is cleared and that we are no longer divided about this issue. We're all saddened. And some people from the Sunnis sadly defend Yazid, but it's not for us to defend. Let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deal with them. We're to find common ground between us. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us to come and find common grounds between us and Ahl al-Kitab, the Jews and the Christians, we should all, as Muslims, find common grounds between us so we can be united. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. يا رب يا ذا الجلال والإكرام، يا الله يا حي يا قيوم، اللهم اسألك لي ولحبتي الجنة، اللهم اسألك لنا ولجميع المسلمين الجنة، اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Oh ya Allah, ya ذا الجلال والإكرام, please unite all the Muslims together. Oh ya Rab, break all forms of disunity between us and all forms of fitna between us. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, help us find common grounds between us and everybody we come in contact with. Ya Dhal Jalal wal Ikram. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Dhal Jalal wal Ikram. Please help the Sunnis and the Shias be united together as Muslims, as one unit. Ya Dhal Jalal wal Ikram. Ya Rab, we have got brothers and sisters all around this planet who are suffering from illness, through hunger, through thirst, through misfortunate events that have happened to them, especially like our brothers in the Philippines. Ya Rabbi, protect them and look after them. Ya Dhal Jalal wal Ikram. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, feed all those who are hungry, quench the thirst of all those who are thirsty, and clothe all those who do not have clothes. Ya Dhal Jalal wal Ikram, and replace every provision that you have taken away from those people. Ya Dhal Jalal wal Ikram. Forgive our sins and bestow upon us your mercy. Ya Dhal Jalal wal Ikram. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.